Three hyenas were eating a rhinoceros. This is how nature is.
It's like business.
And it's the psychology, right? It's the timing of the offer. It's a lot of things. I've seen the offer work best when it doesn't require anybody's time and, quite frankly, anybody's money. Because those are two things that B2B likes to take, is people's time to onboard and all these things. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
What would you tell them when they're like, they struggle with the offer? How would you help them craft something?
I didn't have a presentation made, a pitch. I'm just like, you should do it. You'll make $1 million. Ooh, by the way, yesterday, saw a hyena on Facebook. Three hyenas were eating a rhinoceros. This is how nature is.
You and the nature
On
thing.
the other side of the rhino, a fucking lion. Pardon me, a lion.
Okay.
Oh, gonna kill the hyena.
Okay.
It was the saddest thing I've
It's
seen.
like business.
But the hyena didn't even see that. I mean, literally the one in the
Of
middle.
course not. They just feel like
Looked up and the lion just goes, and it's like for 3 minutes you saw it just like look up into the sun as it has a tooth in its vein. And I'm just like, what a terrible feeling, just being like, I can't move. There's no chance I'm going to make it. And I just got to sit here and die.
and watch this.
Well, my family ran off and left me here
Yeah.
to get mauled by this lion. And what are you thinking? Like, do you think, like, I know there's the whole God thing and like there's supposed to be chemicals that help us on our way out.
Yeah.
Hopefully animals too, but what a weird, like there's no, you just got to sit and enjoy it.
Just the jungle of life.
There's no like, what am I going to do tomorrow? I'm hungry. You're like,
Do you think businesses feel that way when they're like,
mean,
I'm
no.
killing it, and all of a sudden some big corporate comes in and just acquires or decimates all of the small companies?
I don't think
and
it's
they're
anything like the same feeling.
you don't?
Than a tooth to your esophagus.
Yeah, well, hopefully we don't have the tooth to our esophagus anytime soon. You love the nature shows, though. That is something that you
Love a good National
Always.
Geographic, good
Yeah.
2 hour, 3 hour.
animals killing other animals. That's always been your thing.
It's life. It's a cycle of life. It's peaceful being on the other side of it, not in it.
Just watching it from your TV.
Yeah.
I had a friend once, and I visited her in New York, and we went to her friend had just gotten this amazing big screen TV. And he was watching something about Italy, and I was like, have you ever been there? And he goes, why would I go there? It's right here.
Yeah. Well, there's other reasons you could go there.
I was still
You
find
got an
that
Italian
really
restaurant. You got an Olive Garden down the street too, buddy. What else could you ask for? Wow. Well, we're here to talk about the offer today. Not just the Olive Garden 2 for $11.99 special.
They have a great salad.
They have a great salad. One of our favorites. Okay, we can talk
I don't
about
know about that.
I sit in that parking lot a lot waiting for that salad to get brought out to me. But the offer, Melissa, is all the talk right now.
Why are we talking about the offer today?
Well, we're talking about the offer because we ourselves fell victim to having the wrong offer. And sometimes you don't know if it's your message, if it's your offer. We did a lot of research on top of our opinions to find out it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
right?
and on tops of our opinions. Tops of opinions.
Don't edit that out. We'll keep
Plural. So part of why we wanted to talk about the offer, as we were discussing some of the things that our own clients struggle with and things that we struggled with, frankly, is when you go out to market, you're trying to get leads, when you're trying to build your business, whether you're brand new or whether you're an established company, that's a $40 million company, right?
Yeah.
You do need to have something to draw them in. Why you're different, the value you provide, and the offer that you have.
Yeah.
And many of our clients have struggled with that, trying to figure out the right offer to bring them in. So that's why we thought today would be a good opportunity for us to share what has worked, the process that we've used, and even some of our own trials and tribulations.
It's not just about pricing either. Offer is just this one component, right? It's not, oh, my offer is it's free. My offer is it's $19.99. It's my offer is this, and it's the psychology, right? It's the timing of the offer. It's a lot of things. And we found out that as soon as we changed our offer, although maybe it's still not in its final form, it changed. It changed the response to that. So I think now as we continue to iterate and talk about like locking in on a final offer, this came top of mind. And we're like, let's talk about it because we're talking about it. Other people should be, if they're not talking about it, at least revisiting this, once a year?
Yeah. So why don't you tell us what makes an offer work? What have you seen?
Well, an offer, I think what I've seen is different from what you might hear from, say, Alex Hormozy. I like what Alex says. I'm not saying that isn't. That's certainly a very viable offer, and Alex is world renowned, right? So what I'm saying is in the world of outbound B2B, which is very specific, I've seen the offer work best when it doesn't require anybody's time and quite frankly, anybody's money. Because those are two things that B2B likes to take is people's time to onboard and all these things. And you're like, oh my God, another software onboarding? Good. I was looking forward to this. Or it's money, which is like, here's some money. And everybody right now, every software company wants some money, right? Everybody wants some credits to give you. And then pretty soon you look down and software sprawl, be damned. So I think it's the offer is about making it easy.
And clarity and being real. I think one of the things that we've seen many customers struggle with is the offer wasn't clear. It's like, I'll come and assess your practices,
Yeah,
or
what does that
I'll
even
come and give
mean?
you a free assessment. And you know what that means to the person on the other side?
Time.
Work.
Yeah,
It's
no,
work.
thank
Now
you.
I have to show you all my stuff. I have to get all these
Right.
things together, have you assess it, and then tell me how much I should spend. Like, they know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
So it is really, you have to be clear, and it has to be valuable, and it has to be not a lot of work on the other person's side, right?
Well, that's the old roofer offer, right? Let me pop up on the roof and I'll tell you if you got a roofing problem. No one's going to get up on the
Yeah.
ladder and look. They're like,
Everything looks good.
Everything-
You know,
I mean, you've got some shingles that are missing from the middle of your house. There's a hole in it. I'm surprised you haven't seen it. They'll be like, really? You're like,
yeah.
yeah. And now nobody takes your word for it anymore. I think that's the thing that's changed is we finally arrived into the, like, there's no facade anymore. There's no, like, I hope it and wonder if it works. You pretty much know whether or not something should work in business, I feel, before you buy it or not now. Unless it's an early company that maybe you're not familiar with. The offer is not, will this work or not? It's, will you get the value from it? Because I think the other side of this conversation could be a lot of people could say, well, what if I gave it to you for free? And people would still say no. So it doesn't mean it's easy just because it's free.
And so giving like just blanket assessments, I'll come in and assess your stuff is
Yeah.
not necessarily, I mean, it may have worked for you in the past, and it may work for you. It's just, we have not seen that be a very strong offer because it's not super clear, and it's kind of seems like a lot of work.
Yep.
So what is a really clear, this morning I had someone actually pitch me something on our podcast. They said, hey, here's an assessment that I'm going to give you for free of all the ways you could make your podcast better. Here you go. And on the assessment, there was a little link to make a Calendly appointment. I thought that was a great
Sure.
offer, right?
Yep. And a great automation tool with AI that
Great
did that for
automation.
them, that they probably looked at it if at best, right? Which is great though, because it's 99% more than anybody else would ever do.
Absolutely.
And so they're number one, but I say that's valuable, right? But if somebody else can do it, how valuable is it?
So what makes an offer really clear? What's something that
Okay.
you have seen work before with either with our clients or previous clients where it was like they had a muddy offer, nothing kind of that made anybody bite. And then when you created that offer, everyone was like, that's interesting. Do you have an example?
I do. Before I do that though, I want to, this question I ask every customer and they all look at me blank in the face.
Okay.
I say, all right, we're going to talk about the offer now. Let's think of something that doesn't cost your prospects any time or money and has value for them. And they always go,
Ooh, that was
And
a
I'm like,
long mic drop.
there's the problem, right? Because we are only offering them 45 minutes on our calendar. Like, how selfish are we? Like, hey, Melissa, you're looking good tonight. Tell you what, here's a link to my calendar. If you ever want to go on a date with me, just click it. And I'll keep texting you and tell me to fuck off, right? Like, that's what we're doing essentially in B2B. And that doesn't work, and you're a psychopath. So, like, we've been acting like a psychopath in B2B for so long, and we need to just kind of act like somebody who you'd want to swipe right on.
Like if you keep knocking on the door, someone's going to open it. No, they're not going to open that door.
Someone will carry you away to the prison.
Yeah, I joked on a newsletter earlier where my kids said when they first got their phones and they would say, Mom, 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 Mom. And my daughter sent me a text with like 40 moms in a row, and it was exactly how they talk. So what does work in an offer when you have urgency, right? You need to have some psychological triggers in there. You need to have urgency. It needs to be clear. The timing has to be right. So you have to know what your customers want and when they want it and make the offer match that need, right?
I'm not a big fan of the act now or else.
Yeah.
We can talk about fear of missing out, but I don't feel like your false deadline is my problem.
Sure.
So that's never worked for me. Now, I will say, if I want something, if it goes on sale, kind of like you used to have to wake up, now you just set up the alerts and purchase it whenever, like that's compelling, right? But in B2B, like we don't have that same kind of event. So I think an offer to me is Melissa, I'm going to give you value. You probably know it's not going to be so much that it's going to be, oh my God, why would he do that? Right.
Hmm.
But it's going to be something that you would have likely done anyways. And I'm sort of forcing that to happen. Right. So, for example, one I saw all the time in IT that does not work anymore, but maybe worked 10 years ago. Hey, Melissa, I'd love to audit your IT environment. Right.
Yeah.
Tell you what's wrong with it. Number one, you're going to let me look at your whole IT environment. I can find out everything you have, the software expiration dates and all the maintenance and the Cisco and and so I said, great, there's your prospecting tool, right? Why? And I remember saying specifically, why are we selling this? Because I could give it away for free all day long and we would have pipeline. They'd be like, well, there's a lot of value in that. I'm like, no, we'd put a stick in the computer and it spits it out. It's a program and I knew it. And we'd sell them for $3,500. I sold 6 of them. And I got a lot of sales out of that. But I remember thinking like that now is what everybody can say, right? Because everybody can buy that little stick and it's the same vendors who sell the back end generic, whatever, here's your problems. And I think what does work is, hey, Melissa, I know you're looking at this and thinking about it. Tell you what, I'd love to just get you 2 free of those things to come check it out. Would next month be a good time or is this too early? Because you were already thinking about it. You didn't really want to pay for it because you were hesitant about it. But now you got a chance and it doesn't have to be right now. But if you don't do it right now, it might be too late.
Yeah. So what we have seen is like if you're in IT, as an example, there's probably a number of tests you have to run. There is some compliance you have to be in compliant for the government or for whomever, right?
Yeah.
So why not hit your targets up with something they already have to do?
Yep.
Maybe they want it done cheaper, faster, better, however, but that could be a great offer where this time is coming up. Every year you have to do XYZ test.
Yep.
We can run that test for you for X amount of, whatever your offer is, but hit them with something they already have to do that's very specific, a great entry point, and then work your way in from there. That seems like a much smarter offer than like, I'll assess your whole environment, right?
I'd like this one. This is gonna be very real for us. So while I was up at Cyber Advisors, you'll appreciate this. We were talking about this and they were selling the technology assessment, right?
Yep.
And now it's cybersecurity, right? So you have fear, right? Everybody's afraid of their information. And everybody should be, by the way, especially small business owners, because they're the largest ones hit because they have the least amount of security, right? So now security sprawl has hit small businesses. So we're supposed to buy cybersecurity now. We're like, what? I thought it was just the enterprises. No, everybody, because we could lose our life savings, not just the company's money, right? And so we were talking about this in real time and someone was talking about it. And it was sort of like, well, if they don't do this, they might get hacked. I'm like, they know that. They know that already. Well, what if we send them examples of people who are just like them? I'm like, that's pretty good. Like that's about as good as you can get, except for what? Like you have to be able to say, and if you don't do this, this will happen. It's only a matter of time. Like there's no longer of it, the whole like balance of if it will happen. It is now going to happen. And there's examples happening every day. So Melissa, when is it going to happen to you? I don't know the answer to that, but I sure as like I'd like to do an assessment and tell you where your holes are. And then you can plug them with me or somebody else. But if you don't know, like start there. Right. And I think that's the best offer anybody could get.
So what is the role of sales and marketing when it comes to the offer? What do we have to do to help customers and clients and businesses out there refine their offers, make sure that their offer is strong, clear, has a sense of urgency, that is specific enough that makes people want to pick it up and buy their product?
Well, we have similar and not differing points of view on this. I think there's one way to find out, which is to gauge their feedback, right? Are people buying this or a lot or not? And the other one is they buying it too quick or are they taking too long to decide, right? And sort of like too quick, too easy is like, we're not charging enough, right? So that's kind of the obvious thing. And the other one would be to say, well, what are they saying in the meetings, right? And we can all record those meetings right now. Here's the problems I'm trying to solve. Or you could say, I really want to go talk to the customer directly and just say like, hey, what are you solving with our product, right? And I know you love that one because that's the world you come from. So that's newer to me because you think marketing is ever going to go out and actually talk to the customer and say like, hey, what does the pain feel like to you, right? What are the words you use?
Well, some of the examples, if you think about like Dollar Shave Club and you think about Peloton. So I have a Peloton and I love it. And it's
you don't
not
just have
because
a Peloton. You have a Peloton that you're about to hit for the 1,000th time.
900. Yes.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's a lot.
16. But what I love about it is I hate riding a bike. Actually, I have a bike. I think I've been on it in 2 years, maybe 3, probably 3. But what I like about it, and I've ridden other bikes too, like I think Nordic Track has a bike
Yeah.
with a screen. What they sell really is it's coaches,
Community.
right? It's the community. I mean, the community a little bit. You do the high fives and things, but it's the music. They have different track lists. Like I can do new wave rides, like really specific weird stuff, like
Right.
metal rides, new wave rides, dark wave rides, stuff from the 80s.
Right.
And they've got different instructors with different personalities, but they have like they build you up as you're riding the bike. They
Yes.
give you little boosts and
You
things that
text me, you're like, I just had the ride of my
is
life with
so
Coach
great.
Jesse. And
And that's what I love about it.
yeah,
It's not the bike, it's not even and I need to work out, but I want it to be fun. Like I want it to be fun and I want to be energized by it. And that's what
right.
those instructors provide and that's
Right.
what they sell.
Right.
That's what they're selling. They're not selling the bike
Right.
because you can buy any bike. There's a bunch of bikes out there and many of them cheaper. So what are some other, so when they figured out their offering, it
Mhm.
really is like that community.
You
It's
just give me an
that
idea. Peloton for cold
instructors.
calls.
So as you think about Dollar Shave Club, or even, we talked about some of the SaaS free trial models,
Yeah.
right? Like how do they get people, what is their offers? What are the things that they provide?
Well, a Dollar Shave Club is $1, right? And so like they were so smart they named it that, like, hey, if you like this, right? And really it wasn't $1, right? It was like $9.99. I remember saying, why do they call it Dollar Shave Club? Because it actually cost me $9.42.
Yeah.
It was just the name,
But
right?
that's the hook.
The idea was you no longer have to be without a razor. And because like for guys, like we hate going to the store. Like women are there all the time. If my Mach 3 turbo runs out, I'm gonna have to go to Lewis. And like that's what they wanted us to avoid. Like that was what it wasn't anything else. It was just like I don't want to leave the house. I want it to come to me. I don't even care how much I pay, right?
Yeah.
Guys get screwed over with shopping because we don't know anything. And women are just like, well, I'm not going to do it for you. And we're just like, okay, I'll do it for myself. And we'll buy the stupidest shit at the highest price because we're like, ooh, sandalwood laundry detergent, $49.99. I'll take one a month on
Okay.
subscription.
I'm going to sell you some of that next time. 'cause
Anything
that's-
with oud wood, sandalwood, I'm in.
I like it. Well, what do experts like, some of the experts out there on offers, what do they say makes a great offer? When you think about whether it's Hormozy or some others, what are their kind of rules of thumb when it comes to making a great offer? Can you tell me, Steve?
Well, I think you want to de-risk it. I mean, if you're really looking
Yeah.
at it is how can I de-risk this so you'll actually listen to me, your shoulders relax, and you go, well, what do I have to lose? Like I'd have to be stupid to say no to this, right? And that's what Alex Hormozy says, right? An offer so good, you'd have to be stupid to say no to.
Yeah.
And then you'd also have to make it very easy for them, right? That's the other thing is you don't want to be like, cool, come with me. Oh shit, now I got to go sign the form. It's like, okay, great. Click on this link and then 2 minutes or whatever it is. Because if we use the example of our customer, right? It's if we had to look at Alex Hormozy, would he say that's a good offer to get a negotiation training for 2.5 days? You're not paying any money. I think he'd say, yeah, you'd probably make it even better, right? He'd make it 20,000 times better. Speaking of which, we should go talk to them. But that's the kind of stuff is we know the offer is good, but how do we know it's not so good that we couldn't do 20 more times that? So you have to test your offers to make sure it's not the best it could be or that you're not missing out on additional business because we know it's good, but it's not great.
One of the things you're really good at is you do throw offers out there, whether it's on LinkedIn or to existing clients or to previous clients. You will test offers like, hey, does anybody need this? And if you get crickets, you're like, all right, that one
Nobody
didn't work.
needs it. Yeah.
But you do that all the time. You've always done that. And I think people are afraid in many ways to test out different, because like, what if it
In case somebody
doesn't?
says yes.
Well, there's that if it doesn't work, but also
Yeah.
like, what if it doesn't work? And then they're embarrassed and they kind of sheepishly just fold up shop, which is crazy. I mean, you think about like all those, we've talked about it before, different companies that have pivoted that started in one way and then ended up doing something else.
Yeah.
You really do need to find out what your customer wants. What do they want to click the buy button for? And the only way is to test different offers to do that, right?
Let's admit though, this is the psychological part of this conversation is the offer still has to benefit you more than the customer. Or else why would you be willing to make it? So you're still winning as the business, right?
Well, you're learning all kinds
So
of
is the
things.
perception of value.
Yeah.
Perception of value, perception of received value, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Because it would be the same delivery to anybody, but Melissa and Steve may get two very different experiences out of that because it's not tangible. I'm not giving you a free snowblower.
Yeah.
And I think that's in B2B where it gets different, right?
Well, and I think part of it is, let's use our own experience as an example. When you started Magnetic, it was strictly content-led sales. So
Yep.
you were doing podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
you were creating videos for
Yep.
clients, and then taking those videos, splicing them up, putting them on YouTube as content,
Yep.
and then also publishing the podcast
Yep.
to YouTube as well. And that worked okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it evolved over time, and then we started doing more lead generation, right? Because
Yep.
customers wanted specific. They wanted specific. How much am I going to get for this? What could I?
Very
How
tangible, yeah.
How
You
many?
touch it.
How many clients can I get if I do this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So then we started doing more lead generation, and then we started looking at
Oh god.
the metrics for that and saying, you know what, really, when you look at LinkedIn, it's the largest
Yeah.
B2B database in the world. It is the best prospecting tool. It is the most up to date. And we started working more and more with our clients on Sales Navigator, understanding how they can leverage that using different data tools and different waterfalls and prospecting and creating sequences and integrating that with HubSpot. And that
Mm-hmm.
was such a smarter way to get leads than
Yeah.
the cold outbound still is
Is it though?
working to
Because
a degree.
we would
It's harder and harder.
You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, right?
You are like it's very difficult. So and then I think that helped us get clearer saying, you know what, really, we just go all in on LinkedIn and
Yeah.
go all in on podcasts. And that's really where we're getting the most juice right now.
Why do we though? Because it works. And we said we also don't have a single client that's just doing the lead gen side of the business that's succeeding.
Yep.
And we don't have a single client that's ever asked for a discount that succeeded.
Yeah.
And we were like, wait a second. Like, let's stop giving discounts and stop doing lead generation. Like, pardon me, distill it down is like, oh yeah, we found out that maybe we were offering things that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do 5,000 for 100,000 emails. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, people would come into our meetings sometimes depending on what they wanted from us and be like, look at us like a deer in headlights when we're talking about content or when we're talking about lead gen, because to them, they're like, sales and marketing, man, these are two different things. And we're going, exactly. And they meet in the middle and they're like, and so almost our offer was unclear in what we do. And now it's become very clear. And so we can make an offer. Hey, Melissa, the walk away, right? That's an offer that we could talk about, right? Well,
But we provide value all the time in free newsletters, in the content we provide. I mean, every day we're putting offers out there and value for free. Like, take it. Here's some tips. Here's what we learned. Here's the data on this. Here, literally your last LinkedIn newsletter had everything a lot of things that we do.
Yep.
Not everything, but a lot of the things that we do on LinkedIn. And like, here it is for free. If you want to DIY it yourself, like, I hope you have a lot of time, but you can totally do it.
Yeah.
So I think our offers are constantly just giving you everything we know.
Yep.
Here it is. Here it is. And if you need help, we can totally help you.
Yep.
But I think over time, even that has evolved for us. So for our clients, tell me about the maker example, because that's such a great one. It's such a great example of how to craft something that gets people interested.
Well, I got to be honest, Melissa. I think you've been better at offers traditionally than me because I didn't live on that side of the house until I owned a company, and I really was bad at my first go around. So I think this happened because we were failing pre-you, right? It was 6 months in, still kind of just me and a couple people, and we were doing outbound email, trying to get appointments, right? And I was just, we were sending 5,000, 2,000 emails a day, something like zero. It was crickets. And when that happens, you go, well, is email even working? Do we think there's any technical problems? Like, nope, there's no technical problems. Like, nobody wanted to meet with you to talk about a software that could historically store your negotiations so you can make better. What? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And so I was
it's too big, right? Like, it's
too obtuse, too big. I said, you guys are doing a workshop. How many people go? Because they said, if you could sell 1 or 2 seats a month, that'd be great. Because that's $5,000. People love them.
Mm-hmm.
Time out. People love them. Tell me more. I went to the workshop. I loved it, right? And if I love anything that's 2.5 days, like, it's got to be because my attention's not very great, right? But then I said, oh, okay, so what if we gave this away for free? And as a result of that, that really got us in front of those chief procurement officers and CROs who won't even respond to our emails today. And as you know, since then, it's been able to fill the funnel to the tune of now over $4.5 million over the last 12 months. So it's 43 deals and counting. And we don't know yet the result of how many of those will close because we aren't there, right? We're still going through all of those deal cycles. That'll be the last measurement, though, is how many people not only filled the funnel, but bought the offer, right? Because retail, you find out right away. Here, it's an 18-month cycle. That's a
So
very
the
tough offer.
software and learning about negotiation seems very obtuse, but like, can I be a better negotiator by going through this training? I'm interested in that. Like,
Yeah.
sign me up, and it's free.
Yep.
And now I'm in the funnel,
Boom.
right?
Yep.
And so that was
Now
the
you're talking
really
to me.
smart offer there.
Yep.
What would you tell somebody who is maybe just getting started? Because we've had a few folks that were fractional, ops people, fractional
Yeah.
sales, fractional marketing, fractional CEO. Like a lot of fractional people have come to us.
Yeah.
What would you tell them when they're like, they struggle with the offer? How would you help them craft something?
Well,
Free case study?
I'm going to use your example. Okay, so Melissa, in her spare time, some free promo here, which is not the intent, runs another company called Taproot Creativity, right? Taproot Creativity is a conglomeration of great ideas and innovation and creativity where essentially Melissa and another
Creativity
gal,
researcher. Yeah.
creativity researcher, want to bring 10 to 20 females overseas. This is not the best description, but just run with me. And they're going to give them this immersive experience that they absolutely is going to be the thing that they need, that they're going to bring back with them and be better leaders, better partners, better founders, better citizens, better community members. And they're going to get more out of it. And they're going to come back and feel like their life has changed because of it. And their lives will feel enriched.
Yeah.
And they'll have a cultural enrichment experience on top of that to kind of nail it in the coffin.
So we have we have a course that we're launching for
Yep.
that. So that's one of the things people can take on in their own time. And then there is a free challenge that people can join if they just want to get a flavor of like, how could I increase my creative capacity every day?
So you went to the offer to get them in the funnel.
So there's challenges, there's a course they can buy, and then if they're still interested in really getting an immersive experience, they can come to the in-person retreat.
So you're qualifying them the entire way.
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately trying to provide value. We really want people to be able to tap into their own creative resources and network with other people that are interested in doing the same, and people are doing that at an executive level.
I love that. Okay, so you've been flushing this out for a while now.
Yeah.
I think your biggest concern, which is a great one, is are they going to get value out of it? Not will you, it's will they.
But
right?
in all fairness, to your point, we started saying like, let's do a retreat in France, which everybody's
start
like,
with the
that
big end,
sounds
the
great.
end.
That sounds great, right?
Yeah.
But that's a big ask for someone who doesn't know you. So that you do have to create entry points into whatever your company is, right?
Yep.
Some that are bite-sized, snackable, free. So for us, that's the content we provide, the newsletters we provide, all the information we provide. Then an entry point that's maybe a lower price point. We're like, hey, can I try your tools, right? Maybe that's an education. Maybe it's some training. Maybe it's a little bit of a PDF that shows like here's a free
Your vibe,
way to evaluate your services, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the full on, now I want to meet with you. Now I want to learn what a more in-depth engagement looks like. So I think having some offers that are free, some that are maybe gated, some that are cheaper or more affordable options. And then
before you get on the boat to go to France.
because people aren't ready to go spend
Before you're
10
ready to
grand
get someone on a boat too.
to
You wanna
go
know,
fly
too.
somewhere to like they want to know who you are first. So you just sort of like you want to crawl, walk, run, date before you marry, whatever you want to use. I think having an offer allows you to do that. So if you're just starting out, give people some snacks they can try before they buy the whole meal, right?
People like snacks these days because we had a lot of steak for a
Snackable.
while. Okay, so like Caleb, a little promo here, but also great offer, right? $17. It gives you a PDF on like how do you
Great course. Yeah.
how do you do video essentially on YouTube, right? I think and so $17 is not for him to get rich. It's so you can get value and go through like this progression of Caleb. And I bet you most people don't finish it, right? Caleb, do most people finish that? Yeah, most people will never finish anything. It's the people who do become the customers, right? And sort of like, or they get through it and they go, you know what, Caleb, I just want to hire you because this is way too hard. And you're like, cool, like I'm giving you value. I never feel like I'm being a shyster, right? It's a value economy in there. And what you're really doing that is give. As long as the margins are there, you're protecting the business. Like there's zero chance you'll fail. And that is new for me because we've come into this going, well, we can't give anything away, right? And I got rid of that mindset and saying it's not about giving it away. It's about what is the value someone else will receive.
Sharing everything we've learned, because in many ways, when you do that, you're actually crystallizing your own thoughts and helping yourself.
Amen.
And people are going to get it in random spots and bits and pieces. And for them to actually take everything you've put out there and put that into a document and learn and do exactly the same is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Some might do that, but it's pretty rare. So scientists versus sales. When you go and put an offer out there, how do you test it? Let's do a little segment called The Scientist and the Sales Guy.
Well, for me, it's crickets or not. I mean, I think
Yeah.
if it's, you know me, I've always tried to make it more complicated than it needs to be. So I've learned that distilling it down is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a good example of a bad idea. I released Path to a Million.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I loved that idea.
it's a great idea,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how to. I thought about it on a Friday, hit the steam on a Friday night, right? It wasn't like
You do that. Yes.
didn't flush it out. Talk about how we'd advertise it. I'm like, I made a webpage and nobody signed up. What's going on?
webpage?
And
Yes,
five
I
people I
did.
met with
I
them.
looked at it.
And I remember being like, man, there's 5 people, and I
It
met
would have
with
been a
them.
great idea. It was an awesome idea.
This is a happy ending. You ready for that?
Yeah.
I saw that look. Friday, I get a call, and I don't know the number. And I get a call from the beginning of the afternoon, and text me and says, Steve, guy Nick, he was a 4th interview. He goes, I want to hire your company. I need your help. Call me. So I don't know if that will close up in a sale because
Yeah.
we're going back and forth now, but I thought that was interesting because Path to a Million, great name. I've always had the names right?
Yeah.
The execution is usually the problem. And here was the problem. When they showed up in the call, I didn't know how to articulate the value to them. I didn't have a presentation made, a pitch. I'm just like, you should do it. You'll make $1 million bucks. So like, okay, well, that's fine, but that's not really why I would want to do it. I'd want to work with you. And I had some questions, and I was just like, oh shit, like here we are again. Like, and so that's a terrible thing to admit, but it's something that's very real for founders who get too excited
Yeah.
too fast.
And I've seen it even with a lot of people who decide they become a coach, right? They either lose their job, leave their
Yeah.
job, want to do something different. And I love coaches. Coaching is important, and we need a lot of them.
Yeah.
I do find that coaches that are very specific in what they offer, like I'm going to help female executives that are in the transition of like 50 to 60 years old that are looking to really find value in their life and what's next.
Yeah.
That's a specific thing. Or if you're
Yeah.
a coach that only works with founders who are at this stage to this stage, and like that's a specific coach.
Yep.
So the more specific you can be with your target, which is a different conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and then your offer becomes a lot more clear too, and people can find you better in the midst of all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think about like all the coaches that are out there. Well, there's mindfulness coaches, executive coaches, and like, how do I find one in this? So the more specific you can be, and with your offer as well, being specific and clear with your offer, you're going to draw people to you
Yeah.
out of the crowd of stuff that's out there. Because that's how people find us too, is they are looking to grow their business, and there's like all these cheap AI tools, and they're like, well, I don't really know how to use any of them, or I see all these. Should I do cold calling? Should I do mass email? Should I do this? What do you guys do exactly? So we have to really educate people on, how to, essentially we do all of that for you. We can take all of that off your plate. We can do it better and more strategically with the tools you already have.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it's just like being specific in who you're targeting and what you're offering helps.
I think it's really hard too if we think about software companies and product-led growth, like where 3 years ago that was a PLG, big name, is really this idea that, hey, Melissa, I'm going to give this software to you free, and that's my offer. And,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna, but over time, nobody would give you any value, right? It was pretty much like you get 1 day free, and then we're going to charge you, and then it's 1 day free and your credit card, and we're going to charge you at 11:59 p.m. And so it's like software being greedy, right? Because they couldn't convert, right?
Yep.
Because they were so worried about the attribution on where did it come into the pipeline, and then as I worked at a company that deployed this model, we would have 10,000 active users and monitoring their usage data. And then you just really have to go like, who do I go talk to who we would want as a customer and go provide value to them? So it's really inherently selfish because you're only wanting to provide value to the people who fit your profile. So I think in software too, and I've seen this, there's a lot of confusion. They go, well, what do we do? How do we provide value if we can't just give them free, or a 5-day free something? So I'd say that's where services uniquely have an advantage
Mm-hmm.
because what you can provide to someone once they get used to how you work is the difference.
Yeah. And it's not static. Whatever your offer is today, next year, your offer might look different. You're going to constantly need to be testing it and optimizing that. So I know when we work with clients, we will first, really narrow down the list, really hone in on the messaging, and then talk about the offer as part of the message, right? And then we design the sequences out. And then we're like monitoring. We'll monitor it for a week and look at the percentage. We'll look at the reply rate, the connection rate, all of those things. And if those numbers we have a stoplight report. If those numbers aren't where we need them to be, we'll either we'll like, okay, what do we get? What are we thinking based on what those numbers look like? Is it the list? Is it the message? Is it the offer?
Right.
And we isolate those, run it again for another week, watch it again. Okay, there must be the list. So I go back and change the list. Now we'll monitor it again. So that's
Yep.
really how we, implementing science,
Yeah.
monitor if our offer is, if we're getting pickup, right?
Yep.
And so that allows us to be a little more scientific than like, but I do think there's a place for sometimes when you're new, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Who wants this? Who needs this? If I made this, would you be interested? I kind of love that too. It's a little sloppy, but it also works.
There's to counter that demand capture, I think is really interesting because to be cognizant of the market you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one knows what your service is, right, offering the free version of it isn't necessarily going to help. You probably need a clear offer
Yeah.
versus more creative or more free. And I just think that's important because if you're capturing demand, then free is interesting, right? Because now if I switch cell phone providers and now I get 3 months free, that's still valuable to me and it's still an offer, right? So
Sure.
it doesn't, and I think that's a lot of where you look at big grown up retail, they're really good at this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so boring because they're so good at it. It's just like moving big ships, you know, you're just like, oh my gosh. But it's very intentional, right? Because they have to report into shareholders. So they can't just be like, well, try it. You know, that's very calculated what the result will be. And when it's not, people get fired.
What is the best offer you've ever received?
John Ledger, T-Mobile, 2014. Received, been a part of. 2012.
Okay.
So they said, okay, we're a part of an industry. The problem is nobody trusts it. That's the problem. Nobody trusts this. It's only second to the U.S. mail system and ahead of the airlines on customer satisfaction. And that was called cellular telephones. People were charging roaming fees, long distance fees. You just felt like, and then we wanted to auto draw your money. And so you just randomly, like every month, it was just like whack-a-mole. You're like, oh my God, my bill's $400 this month, $318. I went to Canada, it's $1,000. So we said, I hear you. No more. Everybody else is the bad guys. They've been doing this to you. So we pulled a trump card and we're like, they did it. We didn't do it. And they were just like, you know what? We're here to help you escape this prison that they've put you into. We don't want to give you a contract anymore. So our offer was no contract. People went, oh my God.
Yeah.
And they were like, no contract. And we said, but you're going to pay a monthly handset premium. So they just went whoop and flipped the monthly payment to the handset and said no contract. So if you left early, you had to pay the handset off. It was perception 100%. They are now the world's largest carrier. They take out Verizon, they take out Sprint, took out AT&T. And this is, to me, it's one of the best offers of all time because they took AT&T's $8 billion after a failed merger and served it to them for lunch and then went ahead of them in 4 years and became bigger than them with their own money. So to me, it was fun because I worked there. I didn't understand business back then, but I felt the compensation and the offer was immense.
What's the best offer you've bit on as a buyer? Either B2B or, yeah.
I think it's those
B2B.
7-ply surgical steel pans I bought from that door-to-door salesman 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cooked cake from beans and everything was great. I loved that offer. I think he got us drunk and I bought like $1,700 worth that night.
$1,700 worth of pans?
7-ply surgical steel pans.
Why is that good?
Well, I mean, do you want me to get into it?
I'm curious.
I don't know enough all the time.
Well, just give me a
7-ply
couple of
surgical
bullet
steel.
points.
Well, you'd want 7 plies of it so it's not so hot in the middle. You need 7 plies so the heat is spread out throughout the pan. And when you can do that, it not only preserves the life of the pan, but it helps spread out the heat evenly. So it literally cooked a cake.
Do you still have this pan?
I lost him in the first divorce.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's interesting. Well,
I mean, you should buy some.
I don't think so. But I'm not even sure if there's science behind that. But
Probably
I love that you bought those very expensive pans. That happened to my mom recently.
You? Talk to me.
I don't. I'm
She
trying
bought
to
a $340 one pan for $340.
Yeah.
She got raked over.
My mom bought a vacuum from a door-to-door salesman recently, and then she called me within 24 hours asking me to help her get out of that contract, which I did, but that was a tricky one. I had to pretend, I had to do some chat GPT lawyer speak, but it worked. But yeah, that was those are tough ones when they come to your door, and they're great people. The best offer that I've ever, yeah, I'm not sure. I think you've made some pretty pretty strong offers
To
to
you?
me
Yeah,
in
I
the
have.
past. Yeah,
Yeah, I made a lot of
those have been
strong
good.
offers. Yeah. And you bid on you bid on one.
Been on it twice. All right, that's for another day.
Oh my
This is
God.
going to air. This will be on 2 days after the Super Bowl. Chiefs, you think?
Well, let's talk about
I
this.
really like Philly. I mean, I like any underdog. That's always going to be who I'm going to go for. I just find Kansas City just kind of milquetoast. It's a bunch of cowboys and barbecue, and not the Light District doesn't do anything for me. I'm
Kind of
sorry.
like the new New England, I
It's
guess.
just boring.
I enjoy a football franchise that is a powerhouse, and so I'm going to be rooting for the Chiefs.
Okay.
I don't know. Their colors are terrible.
I feel like they're going to win, but I'm also just really,
Caleb, you're a Chiefs fan,
really
right?
bored by it.
Oh, you don't care. Okay. Steelers. Oh, that makes sense. He's got a beard.
Mm-hmm.
All guys with beards like the Steelers.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's a great city.
Cool. Gritty city, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cleveland. I'm all for those cities all the time.
An offer you can't refuse. Let's go
An
get a
offer.
tattoo in Pittsburgh.
Ooh, I like this. We should have done
A
like
penguin.
a Don Corleone intro for this show. Like the offer you can't refuse. There
a
you
good
go.
one.
Even the Italians knew it better. They always do it better.
Yeah, they're
Same.
pretty good at it.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's to hoping that Philly wins. We'll find out. I'll probably be proven wrong on February, whatever date this 11th.
Yeah.
But
We'll be back. Check out the next episode. So here's what we do know. We know that we're not very good at telling you to subscribe. So please subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the show, tell everybody you know about it. We're also going to be doing a mental health episode the next time. So we're going to be digging deep and doing a big banter episode on this kind of, our life. Where are we in our life? How much do we want to share? I don't know. But what is the world we live in of mental health? And I guess
running business inside of that and outside of that and around that. And
everybody's going to have something they can.
This episode
identify
is
with.
brought to you by Magnetic, which is the company that we run.
Oh,
We
do
just
run a
forget to
company.
talk about it. So
Yeah, we got to get really good at this. So you got to subscribe to this channel. We run a company called Magnetic who's sponsoring this show, and we'll even give Magnetic an advertisement. Why don't you try and do a spot for Magnetic real quick? Who is this show sponsored by, Melissa?
the show is sponsored by Magnetic, where we essentially help businesses grow by helping you get really good at LinkedIn, the world's largest B2B prospecting tool. And we allow you to run sequences, prospect, nurture those leads through LinkedIn. And then we also generate content.
We're still
for
working
folks.
on that. You said
Yeah.
it really good, but we got to get that to like 5 words.
Well,
right?
why don't you try it, Steve? Why
I
don't you give it a
know.
whirl?
No, I'm terrible.
Why don't you tell everybody, what did we do at Magnetic? Besides talk a lot. We do talk a lot.
We do what you said, but how do we do it in less words? I don't know how to say that yet. We're working on it.
Yes.
We're gonna.
Let's see. That'll be a good one. We can do a pitch contest.
You guys want to help name us? You want to get our
No,
slogan?
no one wants to help name us, but like,
Our
let's
slogan?
do. Okay, you get one. Let's do it. You do a pitch, and then I'll do a pitch.
Okay, right now.
Right now, let's do
Magnetic.
it.
Pitch off.
Magnetic pitch. What do we do? Pitch off.
Just say, Steve.
pitch
Well, what do you?
slap.
I gotta get in character. Hold on. Like,
Okay.
oh, hey, Melissa.
Do a little.
What's going on?
warm
Good
it
to see
up.
you. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Steve. Hey,
Oh.
why don't you tell us what Magnetic does today?
Oh, Magnetic.
yeah. What do you guys do?
We make people famous and rich. What do you do?
Let's say I'm Luane, our neighbor, who says, "Hey, Steve, I'm just cleaning out my garage for the 340th time this week. I'm just curious, what is it you guys do? Because you don't clean out your garage. You must be pretty busy."
Well, the salesperson in me wants to go, oh, hey, Luann,
Go
have you
take a
ever heard of
hike,
LinkedIn?
Luann.
And then you have to make it about them, right? And
I hate you, Luane. No, I don't. I don't hate you. You
We
do
like
clean your
Luane.
garage a
he
lot.
cleans a lot. You're competitive with him. Competitive yard. He gets out and starts mowing. You're like, son of a bitch.
He's like
Ugh.
taking a napkin and cleaning off the floor of the garage with napkins and toothbrushes.
That's how he chooses to live his life. Now, what am I supposed to be saying?
I'm Luane. I'm coming over to you. Steve,
Yeah.
I see you're too busy to clean your garage.
Yeah.
What is it that you do? Why are you spending
Well,
so
I'm
much
so
time
busy
on your
because
computer?
have you heard of LinkedIn?
I don't know. I think isn't that where people get jobs?
Well, it kind of used to be. Do you have a LinkedIn account?
I retired last year.
Good for you. We help people who are on LinkedIn. Have you ever seen people post on LinkedIn?
No, I don't do anything that computer
you
stuff.
can't do this. I can't do this. You set me up for failure every time. I wouldn't say anything to you if you're that person.
As my mom says, they do stuff on the computer. They're computer people.
I will ask you the question now. Okay, for real, because you never let me be for real on that.
Okay, be for real.
Melissa,
Yes.
tell me about what you do at Magnetic.
Well, we help companies grow, and we do that by leveraging all the tools on LinkedIn. Most people don't realize how many tools there are on LinkedIn to prospect, nurture, and bring people into your pipeline. We also help people create content that is compelling, that attracts them to you so they want to do business with you. So we do podcasts, we do videos, we do a lot of ghostwriting, that kind of thing. But both of them work together to help your company grow and build your pipeline.
So more attraction than promotion.
We do a little bit of both, but hopefully, I mean, the goal is to attract people to you.
Okay.
By
So you see how nice I was when I let her just answer that, and I didn't
Aw.
go. Oh, see, you should try it sometime. I could actually say. What we
okay,
do.
well, I'll be nice to you then. Okay, so I'll be. Let me see. Let me be Cindy down the street who's like, "Hey, someone walking my dogs."
Okay, hi.
All three of them, the ones that are
Yeah.
really obnoxious.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Hi.
What is it that you do?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Have you heard of LinkedIn?
I have. My husband's a corporate attorney.
Oh, he's a corporate attorney. What company?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I
well,
don't ask him those kinds of things.
So
I
his-
just drive the BMW.
his company has a bunch of employees, and they have a name of their company, and they have a LinkedIn page, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to know where everybody works, and it's actually got 5 billion people on the platform.
Sorry, Cindy.
And we help the company's executives become thought leaders in their industry. So, for example, their customers might say, gosh, I wish I knew who their CEO was. I wish I knew what they thought, because that's really who they spend their money with. And they want to get to know them. So we provide some transparency, help them write really great posts every day, so they're present and people can really catch their vibe.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm gonna tell my husband. We don't actually have a neighbor named Cindy. I made her up. So, I mean, they're not all boneheads. They're actually really nice people.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are not our real neighbors.
They don't watch this podcast, obviously.
So I think we did forget, like we help people grow their audiences. We help them prospect, find
Yep.
new clients, all those things. I
Sure.
think that was
Well,
great.
we're figuring it out.
We're
right?
figuring it out.
And
But
I
I
think
think
that-
that was good.
I think
like
after
that.
mental health, we should have, pardon me,
The pitch off.
the pitch off. We need to be able to say what we do.
I do like that.
I like
As a
it.
good episode. All right, let's
Okay.
try it.
All right.
Okay. Well, there we go.
We're supposed to throw the paper at the end.
Throw it up. We're done. The end.